made. He much preferred living a simple life, a private yet simple one. He enjoyed having nice things but treated them as a luxury, not a necessity. He thought of another one of Grandma Savoy's rules. A Savoy was to always be there for another Savoy. Therefore, although he didn't want to ask the question, not knowing what his cousin Tanya's answer might be, and remembering she had a history of asking favors that got him in trouble more often than not, he stowed his garment back in the closet, turned around, and asked, "Okay, Tanya, what's going on in that pretty little head of yours?" He watched as she stopped pacing and smiled. She had cut her hair into a short afro that she had dyed honey blonde, which looked rather good with her creamy brown skin and the Savoy's trademark hazel eyes. "Since you've asked, there's a tiny favor I'd like to ask of you, Blake." Blake had expected as much. Of all his girl cousins, he felt closest to the one standing across the room, staring hopefully at him. Although there was a 6-year difference in their ages, she was 26 and he was 32, they had always had a close relationship. He had heard through one of his cousins that she had started some sort of internet sales company last year, but he was unclear as to just what type of business it was. "What's the favor, Tanya?" he asked, leaning back against the wall and crossing his arms over his chest. She met his gaze. "I know you only came home to rest and relax, and I really hate to impose." He smiled. "You're not imposing. What is it?" "I started this internet company called Tanya's Temptations." He lifted a brow. "Tanya's Temptations?" "Yes, it's a lingerie company that caters to full-figured women." His forehead furrowed in confusion. His 5'3", barely 120 pounds, slim and trim cousin was anything but full-figured. "Why?" She knew just what he was thinking. "Because there's a need. I did a lot of research and sadly discovered that a lot of the well-known lingerie shops only sold merchandise up to a certain size. I thought they were making an unfair statement that full-figured women don't want to be sexy, so I decided to change that. I'm proud to say I've only been in business for a year and sales have been tremendous. I'm shipping out orders all over the country, although the U.S. is my primary market. I'm steadily getting orders from places like Africa, Australia, and Japan. A few months ago, I decided to quit my job at the bank, step out on faith, and expand the business. Starting next month, I will be working full-time for TanyasTemptations.com. He nodded, proud of her accomplishments and her decision to become self-employed. "So what do you need from me? Another hand at stuffing boxes?" he asked, grinning. "No, it's something a little more involved than that." "What?" "I'm doing a major overhaul to my website, since that's how I get my sales. The new site is supposed to be up and running at the end of the month, but the photographer who was taking the photos for the site was called out of town unexpectedly due to a family emergency before the last model was photographed. I need those photos into my webmaster's hands right away, so I was wondering if I can impose on you to take the remaining photographs for me." Blake looked at her, surprised. "Photographs of a model?" "Yes. Only one model, and Justice is a natural and will be easy to work with." "Justice?" he asked, thinking the name was unusual. "Yes, Justice Manning. I don't think you've ever met her, but I believe you know her brother, Brian Manning. He's a good friend of Tyler." He nodded, thinking of his cousin Tyler, who was his age and a veterinarian. Of course he knew Brian Manning, and had heard from Tyler a few years back that Brian was working for the FBI. Blake also recalled something else. For as long as he could remember, Tanya had a major crush on Brian Manning. Blake sighed deeply. "I usually don't shoot human subjects, Tanya. I mainly stick to wildlife and wilderness scenes, but if you're sure you can't get someone at this late date, and I can't. And if you're certain this Justice person won't be difficult to work with, she won't be."